So we're back to DOE, ARPA-E, and next up.
All right, so we'll squeeze in one more here before lunch. This should be pretty brief, but I want to first give everyone an introduction to ARPA-E if you're not familiar. So ARPA-E, the Advanced Research Project Agency in Energy, is a small team within the Department of Energy. We're about 10 years old. In some sense, you could think of us sort of as the venture arm of the DOE. So we fund a lot of projects that might not be able to find funding elsewhere, and that we're really looking at sort of these sort of high risk, high return type projects that are kind of in the sweet spot of technology development that can really turn into a product in the market. Our mission is incredibly broad. So our three mandates are reducing imports, improving efficiency, and reducing emissions. So you can shoehorn just about anything into those buckets, and we do. So it gives us an incredibly wide scope in authorization. So ARPA-E is built off of DARPA. So DARPA is within the Department of Defense. They take credit for things like GPS and the internet. So we're trying to do similar things for energy. A few things that are interesting to note that we've stolen from them are one is really these empowered program directors. So we are a program director-led organization. At any given time, there's about a dozen program directors within ARPA-E. Both the program directors as well as the technology and market advisors, where I sit, we are on 3-year terms, so those get extended to 4, sometimes 5 years, but by design, people come in, rotate out. So close ties to academia, close ties to industry, and really designed to give folks sort of a sense of urgency when they're there to get something done. And our program directors really define the scope of the programs they want to run. And so you'll see different programs popping up in different funding areas, depending on who's a program director at any given time. We've also borrowed from DARPA in that we do have substantial involvement with the programs we fund. So these are cooperative agreements. We have quarterly meetings. We have we have a long negotiating process about milestones, and then hold our teams to task about those milestones, and can revoke funding if those milestones are not met. So we really do look for impact and progress in sort of a laid out, structured process. One thing that's different from DARPA for ARPA-E is that DARPA has a built-in customer. They are developing technologies that are useful for the Department of Defense. We have to get our technologies out to market for them to be impactful, so we have our technology to market team. So one of the main sort of foundational sort of mottos of ARPA-E is this idea of if it works, will it matter? And so we have a team of folks and are often leaning on research like folks here are doing to really discern, okay, this is a cool technology that we can fund, but if it works, will it actually make any real impact in the market? Will it get adopted? So there's 2 key program types. I sort of mentioned the focus programs before. These are the program director-led programs. The vast majority of our funding goes out through these focus programs where we pick specific program areas and then go out and fund generally about 10 to 12 teams. Generally, it's about $3 million in 3 years per project that we're funding. So each of these programs, is a $30 to $40 million program typically. Also, in the past and historically, I'm also not a contracting officer, so can't speak to the future, but about every 3 years we've run an open program. So this has been a solicitation where anyone can submit an idea that falls into ARPA-E's incredibly broad mandate, and we'll bring in a host of programs that way. We tend to do that every 3 years, in part because it's actually quite a process to manage. That gets quite a few interesting applications, and we want to make sure we have the time to review them and contract them and negotiate milestones and the rest. So to get a sense of what we're working on now, we really work, again, across the energy spectrum. We have things in generation and delivery. The program I'm most closely associated with here is our DAVES program, which is our long duration energy storage program. We consider long duration energy storage to be 10 to 100 hours for the purposes of this program. I also am assisting in the development of a flexible carbon capture program, which hopefully you guys will see soon. Also of interest for this group are programs like our GENI program. This was essentially sort of virtual power plant type technologies, so it's definitely a role for economists there. Also our NODES program is currently being managed by Corey Hedman, an economist, who that's really the coordination of distribution level resources. And so there generally is, at least one program director in-house who has that thrust, and so you'll see those sorts of more sort of economic heavy type programs. You can think of a lot of those as being sort of economics meets IoTs tend to where those come into play. But then we're also looking at everything from transportation fuels to renewable ammonia production to even macroalgae in our Mariner program. So really working across a spectrum of technologies here. In thinking about how we form programs and push them out into the world and then hopefully push the technologies to market, you can see our technology acceleration model. There's really a few key points here where you can engage with ARPA-E. One is right up front. So right up front, we tend to do a lot of work in-house to figure out whether or not a program is worth pursuing. We're looking at both the potential for it to be adopted in the market as well as the impact if it is adopted. A good metric for us is will this either save or touch a sort of quad of energy. That's usually a pretty good market size for us. And oftentimes we can go out and we'll do a pretty thorough literature review, but if we think there's a gap in our knowledge, that we can go out and contract someone to do some work for us as a contractor, that's certainly something we do there. We also host workshops when programs are sort of in the ideation phase. So when a program director has a hypothesis and the program they think they want to launch, they'll host a workshop and bring in stakeholders from across industry, academia, and investors even to bring folks in to talk through the concept. We'll then go through an internal approval process, launch a program. It'll generally come out in the form of a FOA. We'll evaluate the responses we get to that, and then we again have this active management process for generally the 3 years the program is running. And throughout that process, I, as well as the technology and market team, am involved in helping folks think about how does this technology become a product and actually get to a market, and how do we help find follow-on funding to make sure this can get funded out of the lab and make it into the real world. So our approach with technology to market, we really think through this in a few ways. We like making sure folks have really rigorous techno-economic analysis. So again, if that's in your wheelhouse, there may be opportunities for you to join teams with folks who are developing for hard tech but need help thinking through the techno-economic analysis for making the use case for it. And then we'll also help make the connections, whether it's to potential customers or the VC community, if that's appropriate, or strategics, to really see to it that these technologies, if the technology is successful, can advance. So our impact indicators, so this is a snapshot of really what the agency's done, but really why I want to show this is because helping you understand how we measure ourselves is important to thinking through how you frame a proposal that you send to us. Really what we want to see, patents are nice, companies are great, follow-on funding from private markets is the best, right? Like this is really what we think about. We think of our return on investment as what do these things get follow-on funding and then have impact in the market? Are we advancing American competitiveness in these industries, and are we hitting on our key goals? So where you can find our funding opportunity announcements is on the ARPA-E website. We have the ARPA-E exchange, which will list all of the active funding opportunity announcements. It also tends to list sort of potential upcoming opportunity announcements. You'll see on here there'll be often opportunities for what we call a teaming list. So this will be a program that we're thinking about funding in the near future. This would be the sorts of teams we would like to see get together to that, so it helps you think through who you want to network with if you do want to put in a proposal. On our website, you can also find a link to our newsletter, which will keep you updated on all the happenings there. Also, as I mentioned, tenures at ARPA-E, they are 3 years. They can extend a little bit, but because of that, we're always higher. And so the opportunities there are program directors. As I mentioned, we tend to have usually at least one program director who has an economist background to run sort of these kind of network coordination type models and really data-centric programs. There's the role I'm in, which is our technology to market advisors. We also have fellows, so if you have students who are looking for something that's really sort of akin to a postdoc, these tend to be a 2-year fellowship with ARPA-E. They get their hands dirty in program development, in running some of our smaller programs, and they really are the sounding board for a lot of our program directors on thinking through whether things are good ideas, whether they're technically sound. They screen a lot of calls. They have a really important role. I'll also note right now we have summer fellows positions open, so if you have students that are interested in looking for something over the summer, we have some specific projects queued up there that you'll see it on the website. One that would be working directly with me is we're trying to, there's a lot of the programs at ARPA-E sort of rely on this idea that there's going to be abundant, clean, cheap electrons kicking around, and there tends to be a lot of programs that appear to be competing for those same electrons, so helping someone sort of map that out and where it makes more sense than others in regions or how they might line up. So that's one example of a summer project we're interested in. So we hope you'll engage with ARPA-E. Again, all this info is on our website, and happy to have a discussion. So thanks.
Are there any questions to Max's presentation?
So one of your slides, you mentioned some of the buzzwords that we can consider when writing a proposal, like fellow funding from private sector company forms. Are there any energy economics projects that ARPA have funded before that actually lead to follow-up funding from the private sector?
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head specifically, but I actually would suspect they have. I mean, frankly, those types of projects tend to be a lot more attractive to VCs than some of the other things we fund because they're so data-centric and scalable and software-heavy. Some of the other things we fund, like long-duration storage or others, or hydrogen production, are big infrastructure plays that there's actually less of a market for. So something that has a big data component, as long as you can show that there's value to an end customer, right? That's a big thing for us. It's great if something has system value, but it has to have specific value to someone that's actually going to pay for it. But I would say there's no reason that these sort of data-heavy projects wouldn't be successful.
We definitely have some of those in our incubator portfolio in the solar office as well. So again, if you go to our project map and you look at the multiple rounds of incubator we run, it's a program that's most closely aligned with ARPA-E, and there's a number of commercialized as well here.
I had a question about your fellows program.
Yes.
Are those PhD students? And then the second question is, what universities are represented there, or are they sort of all
So our fellows programs is usually recent PhD, so it's sort of akin to postdocs, although some have gone and worked and come back to this program. So that's generally who's there. And
the universities where you're drawing from?
yeah, we are actively trying to make that as broad as possible. I mean, historically a lot of sort of the top engineering schools, which I don't think is that surprising, but we are actively recruiting a broad base of universities there.
But mainly from engineering disciplines.
Mainly from engineering disciplines. But I think any sort of technical discipline,
Does ARPA-E take any equity interest or percentage, intellectual capital or anything like that?
we do not. So the only sort of strings that come attached to ARPA-E funding, one is their sort of walk-in rights, which have never been used to my knowledge from ARPA-E. And this is like if there's a national defense interest or something like that, they can sort of use the IP. The second is there is a U.S. manufacturing requirement. So if something we fund, you're going out to make that product and it's able to be produced in the U.S., we want that produced in the U.S. There are ways, if you can demonstrate that is not feasible, that we can waive that requirement. That's sort of the only thing that comes to it.
Thanks.
So we have 2 minutes left in our panel. I'd like to open for questions to any panelist, and let's go on the discussion we had before.
Regarding the DOE funding programs, how do they relate to the energy efficiency and renewables program? Like, for example, hydrogen, they fund it, but ARPA-E too. So which one you go? Same with solar. It's better to go directly to you. There is an overlap.
So hopefully you won't see a tremendous amount of overlap. We really do try to make sure when we're developing programs that we're filling gaps. So for example, we've been in the process of developing a carbon capture program. We've been in close contact with NETL, who does a lot of work in this area to really make sure what our funding is differentiated. So I would say hopefully what you're seeing from ARPA-E is not really one-to-one match.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a reviewer, for example, on ARPA-E open solicitations and solar-related technology solicitations. We do checks to make sure that folks aren't double dipping, and by double dipping that means getting funding to do the same research. That doesn't mean that you can't get a grant from us and then one from ARPA-E or vice versa. It's just that you have to do something different on each of those. You can't get paid twice for the same work. I'd say, again, there's great collaboration. There's been a good relationship between the folks in ARPA-E and with the other ERE technology areas. But ARPA-E definitely is they've come down to us whenever they've been looking at something that was like solar related and sort of said, here's how we're looking at this, we're thinking about there's a gap, and reasons why they want to go in that direction. And we've certainly also been the beneficiary of some of the things that you guys have done, like synthetic data for the grid and things like this, folks leveraging that to do work under grants in our office, and that's been fantastic. So really complementary efforts and just opportunities to access funding from multiple pools within DOE. And I'd say the same goes again across the ERE portfolio grid modernization initiative that we're coordinated with the Office of Electricity on. So there's a lot of coordination that goes on, and mostly it's just checks to make sure again that there's no double dipping on scopes of work.
On this note, I'd like to thank the
Quick comment. Nobody's mentioned this, it may be because everybody knows about it already, but the Small Business Administration has the Small Business Innovation Research Grants. NOAA participates in the Department of Energy, and it's focused on commercialization of technologies.
Yeah, we have a whole tech to market portfolio that I've been on, again, SBIRs and those programs.
Yeah.
I actually have a question for the audience, if I may.
if nobody's in rush to get their lunch.
I guess one question that we have in programs like SEEDS or as we're developing our funding, we're curious, and I would love to get feedback on ways that we can be doing a better job of providing data or access to tools for all of you to do research, and also to get a sense of what data and literature you folks look at most that might be relevant for us to understand how we can basically be connecting with your community better. So, you can either make a comment now, or if you have any follow-up thoughts on that. Our office is very interested in understanding how, again, we can better enable you folks to do great work and to know what you think is already great work that's happening out there that we might want to keep our eye on.
So I'm going to get in trouble with the organizer if I don't let the audience go. So you're very welcome to stay and encourage you to come